EBD here with the EBD commentary, offering prophetic insight into current events. This is the January 6, 2017 edition, and the commentary is on 70 nations conspiring against Israel. This is some of the most significant information and events regarding Israel that have occurred in decades, and this is highly prophetically significant. This information is from Zion News, January 5th, 2015 edition. You can get this free at zion.org. That's TSIYON.org. The title of this article that I'm talking about is 70 Nations Conspiring Against Israel. In 2015, the nations of the world convened at the UN to adopt the 2030 Agenda, which is essentially a roadmap to a one-world UN government in that time frame. This is the globalist agenda that now seems to have been somewhat frustrated by Brexit, and even more so by the election of Donald Trump as President of the USA. How could that happen? The globalists thought they had this all tied up, and all of a sudden they're getting major pushback and there's some success. Well, I believe this was an expression of grace for America. And one important reason that grace was extended has to do with something else that happened in 2015 that involves Israel. You may recall that in 2015, France had a UN Security Council resolution ready to launch that was intended to permanently divide the land of Israel along pre-1967 lines. This resolution would claim to give East Jerusalem to the Palestinians as the capital of the new state. This includes the entire old city of Jerusalem with Wailing Wall, Temple Mount, and all. In 2015, the entire UN Security Council was ready to pull the trigger on the French resolution. But the United States has veto power on the UN Security Council. It made it known that they would veto the resolution. Because of that, France never submitted their resolution for a vote. Although many bad decisions were made in the preceding 7 years of the Obama administration, I believe this benefit done to Israel by the USA was rewarded from above, hence the successful run of Donald Trump, a strong supporter of Israel. This is in keeping with the covenantal promise of Scripture that the Creator will bless those that bless Israel and will curse those that curse Israel. Now, in the closing days of the Obama administration, a new threat to Israel has emerged. No doubt you are aware of the recent UN Security Council resolution recently passed by the Security Council. This is essentially the same UN resolution the USA blocked back in 2015. This time it was not blocked by the USA, the first time America has ever failed to protect Israel in the Security Council, a historic move by the Obama administration. The object of the U.S. resolution is to roll back the boundaries of Israel to the pre-1967 lines, giving a huge area of the land of Israel to the Palestinians including the entire old city of Jerusalem, with the Wailing Wall and the Temple Mount, all of which were liberated by Israel in the Six-Day War of 1967. The UN now presumes to cancel the victory that Yahweh gave Israel in 1967, which restored Jerusalem as the historic capital of Israel. This stance puts the UN and all nations supporting the UN on a collision course with the God of the Bible. Now we have here a map of the boundaries of Jerusalem, 1947 through 2016. The important thing in this map is the green line. This is the pre-1967 boundaries before the Six-Day War, when the old city of Jerusalem, the rest of Jerusalem, was liberated by the Israelis. And as you can note in the map here, the entire old city is in the area that the UN would give over to the Palestinians. This is the historic city of Jerusalem of the Bible, the city of David, not the city of Muhammad. Within the old city, you find things such as the Wailing Wall and the Temple Mount. And just south of the Temple Mount, you have the excavation of the original city of David, including the palace of David. Surely this should not be taken away from Israel. Moving on with this material, Israel has stated, and the evidence suggests, this is a conspiracy by the globalists being spearheaded by Barrack Obama. Indeed, MEMRI reports in mid-December 2015, a Palestinian Authority delegation met in Washington with officials from the outgoing Obama administration for secret talks. The documented article outlines the details of the secret conspiracy against Israel designed to keep Netanyahu and Trump out of the loop while forcing the UN position on Israel. This article is very telling, and it explains this conspiracy in some depth with facts regarding how this was done secretly. Now we move on to that MEMRI article. And as you can see, this is just the first part of it here. Egyptian Daily, close to Egyptian intelligence, reveals minutes of secret Palestinian Authority meeting with John Kerry. And it goes on, it says, in mid-December 2016, a Palestinian Authority delegation met in Washington with officials from the outgoing Obama administration for secret talks. Now, why would there be secret talks where the Palestinians are there, but no representatives of the Israelis? It's obvious that this is a conspiracy to push through the Palestinian position and to keep the Israelis out of the talks and out of the loop knowing about the talks. What now, you might be wondering? The next globalist move against Israel is coming up on January 15th, 2017, when representatives of 70 nations will gather in Paris to discuss how best to push their agenda against Israel, now that they have been armed by Barack Obama with a UN resolution as their weapon. They are deliberately meeting before Donald Trump is inaugurated into office and can stop them, which tells you that they are up to no good. Kerry floated a plan to return Israel to the pre-1967 boundaries while also establishing a Palestinian state in land now held by Israel. And this may be what they are trying to enforce through the UN before Trump gets into office. Whatever they are planning, you can be sure it is bad for Israel. It is astounding that this move is being made by 70 nations, the original number of nations in the world. Further, it was the original 70 nations that defied the Creator at the Tower of Babel, rejecting Him and rebelling against Him. Now, at the end of the age, all has come full circle as 70 nations again unify together to defy and oppose God. That number is profound and has to be much more than a mere coincidence. Further, the object of UN desire here is Jerusalem, further identifying this as a prophetically significant move against God. I would just add here that just a short time ago, I conducted a seminar on the book of Daniel, an in-depth seminar that treated some of these same issues, especially having to do with the UN and the push the UN is making. And that discussed the 70 nations. And now here we have these 70 nations in the news doing these very things. If you can see that seminar, for a limited time, we are offering it free. We'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. Here's just a news article about the meeting, the conspiracy. It says France will convene some 70 countries on January 15. It says there is concern in Israel that whatever is agreed upon will immediately be used as the basis for a UN Security Council resolution that would permanently divide the land and create a Palestinian state. It looks as if things have been set up for this to happen before Donald Trump gets into office, to push this through within a 5-day window. UN Security Council Resolution 2334 was one of the most significant events in decades, the article says. And indeed it was. It set the 1967 ceasefire lines as the border between the Israelis and the Palestinians, and it granted every single inch of East Jerusalem to the Palestinians. So if that is now going to be enforced with a UN Security Council recognition of a Palestinian state, expect a war in the Middle East very soon. A major war like we have not seen. Returning to the commentary, 70 nations conspiring against Israel. Surely this UN conspiracy recalls to mind these prophecies of Scripture. Quote, they conspire with cunning against your people. They plot against your cherished ones. Come, they say, and let's destroy them as a nation, that the name of Israel may be remembered no more. For they have conspired together with one mind. They form an alliance against you. That's from Psalm 83. Seems to be what they're planning. Zechariah 12:3. It will happen in that day that I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all the peoples. All who burden themselves with it will be severely wounded, and all the nations of the earth will be gathered together against it. The United Nations standing together against Israel to take away Jerusalem certainly seems to fit that bill. Joel chapter 3 says, I will gather all nations. I'll execute judgment on them. They have divided my land. These are only some of the prophecies that speak to this situation and where it may very soon lead. In the wake of these events, all people in the world will have to choose a side. Here at Zion, we stand steadfastly with Israel against her enemies, the enemies of Yahweh, Israel's God, our God. May those enemies be confounded and utterly put to shame. Indeed, they will be severely wounded, as the prophecy says, as they persist in their vain conspiracy against the Almighty. Until that happens, brace yourself for a wild ride, because the nations of the world have dared to touch the apple of God's eye. In doing so, they are provoking him to rock the foundations of the world. If you would like to know more about Bible prophecy, if you would like to understand with greater certainty exactly where we are in the stream of time and what we can expect to have happen, visit us at zion.org, TSIYON.org. There you'll find free, in-depth video prophecy seminars, extensive seminars that you would pay a lot of money for. Other resources too, available to you free. That's at TSIYON.org. Come and become informed on Bible prophecy in these critical days. Thank you for listening.